Why? Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogbo333, and welcome back to the new campaign trail. Now, last time we were here together, I was going to wonder if my Guys Red game was going to still be there in the background, but it's not, so that's good. Last time we were together, we hopped in to the year 1965 in a much darker timeline as a certain gentleman by the name George Lincoln Rockwell, and using some racial animosity and a little bit of party politics, or I guess not party politics in old Harry Bird's case, endorsing us, we ended up winning the Virginia election. Now, I figured that was a little darker, so I figured we'll go something with a little bit more light. Granted, it's hard to get much darker from there. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and be doing a redo of a series that I recorded and I had scheduled to go live while I was abroad in Ireland. But unfortunately, I was not able to upload because of the music copyright just deciding it did not like me, which was unfortunate because it was a fun one. It's 2016 four-way Redux, created by all of these wonderful people. Check it out. When I played it as Bernie Sanders, but dangled, I'm forgetting her name right now. Tracy Chapman. Her people had just removed the video's visibility. I don't mind so much getting my monetization cut on these videos, just because, I'm not going to make too much from them anyway. But if the visibility is cut, that kind of complicates things, because no one can watch them at all. So I have the music muted. And now we're just going to go ahead and do a round two on this. Hillary Clinton, Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, and Bernie Sanders face off and was quickly becoming one of the most interesting elections in American history. After the Republican establishment successfully united behind Marco Rubio in the primaries to defeat Donald Trump, and in a sense Trump decided to run as a third-party candidate, claiming the nomination was stolen from him. Meanwhile, after leaked emails showed apparent collaboration between the DNC and the Clinton campaign in the Democratic primary, Bernie Sanders vowed to keep fighting for his candidacy into general, adding a fourth candidate into the race. While Clinton and Rubio tried to keep this as a two-person race, and while Sanders and Trump hoped to come up from behind, some predict the election going to the House for the first time since 1824. Well, in 2015, the clear frontrunner for the Democratic primary was Hillary Clinton. She was one of the most well-known figures in the world, had been putting together her campaign for 3 years, and prevented primary challenges from well-known opponents like Biden and Warren. Bernie Sanders, a Democratic Socialist independent senator from Vermont, was hardly considered a contender when he declared until he won Iowa. Bernie and Hillary traded wins throughout the primary. Whenever Hillary's campaign thought they had it locked up, Bernie notched an unexpected win in Michigan, Missouri, or Pennsylvania. His campaign couldn't be killed. Regardless, Hillary Clinton carried the nomination at the very end. Sanders even endorsed her just 10 days before the Democratic convention. And then Hillary's emails were hacked and released to the public. They showed what seemed to be a clear collaboration between the DNC and Hillary to snuff out Bernie's chances, their fingers on the scale. Now, on the day of the convention, with his supporters planning a walkout, Bernie's prepared to make an announcement that will change the course of the election. And here we are, Bernie Sanders, the state of Vermont, independent/Green Party candidate. Now we have a couple different options. I believe the best two are either Tulsi or Capture. I think Ben Jealous is also a potentially okay one. Cornel West, I don't know if he does much for appeal there. And Keith Ellison has a scandal. So we're going to go ahead and go with Marcy Kaptur. People are rapidly losing hope and trust. They believe their government has been captured by special interests and no one cares about them. And they are right. Marcy Kaptur is a longtime congresswoman from Ohio, entering the House earlier than you have in 1983. She has consistently overperformed in elections despite her now favorable seat. Also, while standing behind her progressive values. Longest-serving woman in the House, she's an ardent populist, even being asked to serve as Ross Perot's running mate in 1996 for work fighting NAFTA in Congress, although she later declined to join him. Alongside of her opinions on trade, she's taken a moderate stance on immigration. She would be great big, but she is quite skeptical of your third-party campaign, even more so when it comes to the idea of her on the ticket. It will take real work to convince her to come on board. On policy and strategy, her not wanting association with what she sees as an unserious campaign. If you manage to win her over, though, she will be a real asset for your candidacy with no real drawbacks. Well, we'll go and do that. Normal, winner take all. You all know the drill by now. Let's take a look at the map as is. We'd win 15 electoral votes, and Clinton would probably ream us. You know? I've seen worse. And hundreds of your delegates just walked out of a Democratic convention while Hillary was giving her acceptance speech. Progressive outrage at Hillary has reached a new zenith, and you've been uncharacteristically silent all week. Now, we'll give a statement, making a declaration that will kickstart your bid in the general election. What do you say? Our campaign won 29 states and amassed nearly 15 million votes. There's a strong constituency for our platform that has not been represented in this race, and I feel confident we have the resources and momentum to continue this fight all the way to the White House in November. Ladies and gentlemen, our political revolution continues. See, I had the Bernie Sanders voice just nailed, and I couldn't use it. And you guys couldn't hear it, so I had to come back. It's true that you have plenty of support and infrastructure left over from the primaries to make a run in the general, but running as a third party is still considerably more difficult than a primary campaign. Rhetorically, you're avoiding directly mentioning Hillary Clinton and the DNC. That change things at all? Not really. Your initial difficulty will be managing ballot access. Conveniently, the Green Party and Jill Stein have offered to step aside and allow you to become their nominee. In a few states, you'll still have to run as an independent, but it's good news for your chances of getting on the ballot in all 50 states. However, this wasn't unanimous. Unanimous. I was unanimous, but no, it's unanimous. I know that word. What am I doing? However, if this wasn't a unanimous decision, there was tension with some of the Green Party demanding concessions from your campaign, such as your running mate and support for Green Party candidates down ballot. How do you respond? The honest answer is we don't. What we won't do is turn down the opportunity for additional support, but working so closely with the Green Party has many drawbacks for the voting public, and we need a Democratic Congress behind us if we manage to win the White House in November. Steiner's supporters have nearly have to put down revolt within the party against their support of your campaign, and even she seems a little peeved. The upside, though, is that you remain on the ballot and gain respect from a small portion of Democrats, particularly the ones in competitive races, for your uniform endorsements. Well, there we go. Did we get New Hampshire from that? I think we did. Oh, no, we already had New Hampshire. Well, we got to figure out our strategy. My plan, we're going to try to get Texas. So let's go to Texas. Yeah. You had your advisors trying to reach out to Marcy Kaptur, representative from Ohio, for a few days now. Finally, managed to get her on the phone. She explains that she doesn't think your campaign is viable, and that she doesn't think it's worth the personal risk of her joining a national third-party campaign that she feels will likely be a failure. What do you say? Congresswoman, I understand your concerns, and I promise you this. We are going to use this campaign to enact real progressive change. We're already performing well, but with you, it'll be even better. If you're not comfortable with a poll in the future, feel free to leave, but we are going to make history this November. Make history of us, Marcy. Marcy is silent for a moment, then speaks. She'll make a deal. If you're still polling well ahead of a deadline for picking your running mate, while minimizing board decisions and focusing on the Midwest, she'll join you. Otherwise, no dice. You agree tentatively, but the media doesn't hesitate to strike on your campaign's seeming lack of a running mate. Meanwhile, let's take a look at the conservative side of things. After weeks of ignoring and denying Trump's emerging candidacy, the RNC has decided to change its strategy, assailing Trump with a barrage of attacks. How would you like to handle the Trump campaign? in your rhetoric, considering the media's tendency to compare your campaigns. Donald Trump is a corrupt billionaire who stands for the 1% on Wall Street, and yet he's called a populist solely for his bigotry and hatred of minorities. Make no mistake, he would be a president who stands for no one but himself. Your progressive supporters hardly agree, Senator, and your unmake is happy with the spin. Nice. I have 7% in Texas, 25% in New York for a 14-point gap. California I've been able to close before. I know it's possible to win both the Dakotas and West Virginia if you visit. I think usually we'll get these West Coast, all of these states actually. It's possible to get Oklahoma. We should be able to lock down most of these Rust Belt states. Most of New England except for Connecticut. Maybe Connecticut. And potentially New York. So I'm going to work on Texas. As you know, there's a mass shooting in an Orlando gay nightclub, perpetrated by a Muslim, resulting in 50 people killed. Now, 2 months on, the shooting still looms large in public discourse, with the response of people like Trump being to blame weakness on Islamic terrorism. What is your response? This is a horrifying event. But what we cannot do is forget that the Muslim people did not commit this act. A single individual did. We cannot allow shootings like this to succeed and to divide us, because if we listen to the rhetoric of people like Donald Trump, he's doing just that. The majority of your support base is concerned by the rhetoric of people like Trump. Last month, 86 people died in a truck attack in Nice, France, for which the Islamic State claims responsibility. In conjunction with the Orlando shooting, discussions about how to deal with ISIS abound. What is your response? ISIS must be destroyed. We do not want to destroy it by doing what we did in Iraq and getting into perpetual warfare. I voted against the war in Iraq. In fact, Secretary Clinton voted for that war. What we do is work to put together a very effective coalition of Muslim nations who lead the effort on the ground, supported by us through air support and training. Republicans cast doubt on the efficiency of your plan, but since when have you needed them to win? That's what I'm saying, you know? Should we do Texas again? I think I might channel my inner George McGovern a little bit and visit South Dakota. If your general campaign is infancy, you'll need a concrete early strategy to keep it alive. What is your plan to continue your candidacy on to November? We have many of these celebrities who are vocal about the support of this campaign. This can continue to maintain the vast enthusiasm among the youth of this country for my candidacy. If we plan on continuing these ambitious fundraising numbers, you absolutely must continue to lean into that. I won't get the establishment of the media now reporting that a member of your campaign doesn't think this strategy fits you, start treating you seriously, but young people are discussing your insurgent campaign in astounding numbers, and the donations continue to flow. Okay, we're starting to pick up a little bit in some of these places. Look at that. Iowa's very close. I think we'll flip that naturally. We're getting 19 electoral votes. Clinton is still creaming us right now. Very close in places like Alaska. We can get Oklahoma, potentially. Donald Trump has come under fire after a series of statements claiming that the rest of the field, yourself included, want thousands of rapists and thieves from Mexico to stream into the country. I got to work on my Trump still. This is obviously inflammatory, but how do you want to respond? The unfortunate fact is that while we certainly need immigration reform, illegal immigration drives wages down. While we will clearly position against these comments from Trump, I do believe there's a segment of his pro-union voters that could be won over on this particular issue for a more realistic stance. Many of your hardline progressive supporters are barely disappointed. There's a demographic that's open to this rhetoric here, but you probably won't break even nationally. We're still doing okay, though. 36 electoral votes. We got Maine now. Hang on, Hawaii. Let's go to Texas. The general consensus from the press is that you'll need to broaden your appeal from the primary, where pundits ascribe your success to simple opposition to Hillary Clinton if you want a shot at winning this thing. How do you plan to respond to that? While we will not shrink from my policy plans on the issues, be it on healthcare, education, otherwise, but I think it's important to emphasize here, in America for years we have had socialism for the rich and hard, rugged individualism for the rest of us. And the idea of being against that is radical. That is absurd. You've talked about this in the past and resonated well with at least the 15 million that voted for you in the primary. Can that extend into November? Wait and see. We're close in Michigan. Illinois, we have some issues still, but we can catch up. The advent of a four-candidate race has thrown the map's traditional swing states totally off kilter. We're only polling ahead of it in a handful of states. Advisors think you could expand the map in quite a few directions. What do you plan to do? Well, we performed rather poorly across the Southwest during the primaries. I believe that a four-candidate general is an entirely different ballgame. These states, Nevada, Colorado, California, perhaps even Texas. If we get someone like Chuck Rocha in there, I do think we could perform very well. Well, there we go. 6 points behind in Cali. I want to check out some other places. Montana will be okay on. I want to visit West Virginia real quick. Your position on healthcare has been somewhat of a centerpiece for your campaign. Would you like to elaborate on any particular aspect of it as the debate continues over the future of Obamacare? I am well aware of how the pharmaceutical companies and private healthcare insurance companies feel about my proposed Medicare for All plan, and I say to them, whether you like it or not, the United States will join every other major country on earth and guarantee healthcare to all people as a right. You're openly hostile to big pharma, in addition to the insurance industry, and those who compromise your base love it. Of course, it'll centralize opposition to your campaign from big business, but when hasn't that been true? Let's get back to strategy. One obvious positive for your campaign is your support among the youth. The rest of the field is failing to get that level of enthusiasm that you have with this demographic. But there are drawbacks to this. Young voters vote far less often than other age groups. What's your plan to take advantage of these supporters that you have? What channels today's youth is outrage. Outrage at how they've been taken for granted and ignored by the establishment for decades. And our campaign is calling it out. Let's put out a new series of advertisements hitting Clinton and Rubio on this. Enthusiasm is wide as ever on social media, but whether that'll show up to the voting booth is subject to much debate. There's hints in the press that some in the campaign before a more tested and serious strategy. Well, it's getting us Minnesota, so I think I'm not going to complain too much. Let's head to New York. The issue of climate change isn't on the front end of this election, but it's a major issue. What are the next steps the United States should take to combat global warming? I think it's outrageous that the news networks put this issue on the back burner compared to whatever Donald Trump has tweeted recently. Let's do an event with several supportive climate scientists, lambasting the media while making clear what's at risk here. This event gets mixed coverage from the media, with some reacting with outright hostility to the idea that they've neglected climate change, to the mockery of social media. On the other hand, in a surprise statement to reporters, Al Gore speaks positively of your event. You have to bet the Clinton staffers are kicking themselves over that. Do you stand by your opposition on trade deals like NAFTA or TPP, considering the changes on this issue from the likes of Rubio and Clinton? Of course I do. I'm standing by what I've said for 30 years. While the Clinton administration was spearheading NAFTA, it suddenly is interesting that Clinton and Rubio have only come around on TPP this week. What's changed? Well, the shift to a more protectionist position from people like Clinton, the only attack left is accusations of flip-flopping, and it functions decently. Your running mate in particular is happy. Oh, look at that. We're heading Colorado. Look at that. Visit New York real quick. In the primaries, you struggled with black voters to the point that some columnists agree that it lost you the nomination, although there were likely other factors at play. Now in the general, it's a demographic that Clinton continues to excel. What is your plan to stay competitive with this voting bloc? I think we have certainly made mistakes here, and I deeply want to rectify them. We're going to reshuffle our staff, incorporating more voices like Simone Sanders, while making sure to repair the relationship between my upper advisors and our African American outreach team. This is a decent first step in mending the gap between you and the African American community. The distance between your campaign staffers was growing untenable without intervention. There we go. How are we doing before capture? I want to... Okay, 85 EV. About 24% of the popular vote. We're doing pretty well in a couple of these places, but let's see how we're doing once we do some other stuff. March to Capture's tentative joining your ticket has received positive press, even while outlets like Politico note her hesitancy. Luckily, your polling positions are stable enough for her to stay on the campaign. For now. How do you want to utilize her now at this point? Having been a Democrat in Ohio for years, she understands what's happening with Trump's support across the Rust Belt. We're going to send her on a tour of the Midwest, preaching for unions and protectionism. Capture's speaking tour is well received among those who see her, as her reputation and passion on these issues hold through. Popular vote actually doesn't change too much, but electoral votes, that actually has hurt us. But we're very close. We're one point behind in Ohio, 2 points in Indiana, 3 points in Missouri. We're right there in Iowa. Still got some catch up in Illinois, but hopefully we'll get there. I think we'll actually flip Oklahoma without having to do anything, which is very funny. Let's... I'll focus on New York. New Jersey might be a little rougher to get. The first presidential debate is this week, and a surprise both he and Trump met the necessary 15% threshold needed for access. Republicans and Democrats might seethe, but with rules stacked against third parties, you're in. What's your strategy for this debate? I will rail against how the establishment and the media have tried desperately to prevent this from being anything but a Rubio versus Clinton election, the debate commission included. That's what will get our campaign attention, and once we start making headlines, our polling numbers start shifting. This essentially turns the debate into a tension competition between you and Trump. One was essentially a draw, looking at headlines the next day. That might be worse than what Trump was hoping for, but still a gain for him. Trump regularly claims that you're a communist in rallies and tweets, while a Rubio advertisement says that you'd be an American Fidel Castro, citing your praise of Cuba's literacy programs. Well, these are obviously spurious accusations. How would you like to respond? I'm strongly opposed to any sort of dictatorship, be it Cuba or otherwise. Meanwhile, you have Trump cozying to figures like Vladimir Putin, while Rubio wants us to go in the opposite direction, invading Iran and wherever else. Why listen to them? You're picking up a strong line here and taking the attack to Marco and Trump, but you'll still likely take a hit. Bah, who cares about them? 8 points there. About 7 points in New York. Do another visit to Texas, just in case. With that, there's more on the economic front. The economy under Obama at this point is in a good place, but there's debate what to do with the $17 trillion debt that the U.S. currently owes. What do you think? Why get bogged down in addressing the issues of elections? What those tilting towards me are worried about are issues like Medicare for all, certainly not the deficit. Fair enough, if you believe that this is a damaging topic. The debt isn't exactly the premier issue of 2016. Unions have been a consistent asset to your campaign, but some advisors wonder if the American Postal Workers Union and National Nurses United, in addition to the Communication Workers of America, are enough to sustain a national campaign. Organizationally, what's the plan? We're being joined more and more by these national unions, who were with us in the primary, but are hesitant to re-endorse our campaign in the general. I believe the best thing we can do is encourage them to manage our turnout operations while we divert our funds to other areas. His national unions are able to pick up some of your campaign slack as the race continues. Well, no one has a majority right now. We're beating Trump out for second. We're beating Trump out of a college, actually, which is interesting. Let's head to New York. This is the week of the vice presidential debate between your own running mate, Marcy Kaptur, and Ben Carson, John Kasich, and Tim Kaine. What's her plan ahead of time? Marcy's more than experienced in these sort of debates. We can have her and her staff do her own debate preparations. I know she'll come off great. Marcy doesn't have any particular stand-up moments, but she doesn't need any. She looks eminently reasonable, as Ben Carson lobs attacks at Kaine and Kasich and gets high ratings from many debate watchers. Hillary and the media have consistently implied that you have a weakness on foreign policy, while you're left with few responses. A mainstay of some Clinton speeches, after she attacks you on everything else, is a question if you even know what Aleppo is, alongside other quirks. How will you respond? We must confront that commitment head-on with a speech detailing our policy in Syria. It's a quagmire of a quagmire, but my plan is not to commit a reckless withdrawal, rather to defeat ISIL with a coalition of nations, while diplomatically phasing out Assad and addressing the humanitarian crisis. This is well liked enough by most of your supporters, absent a handful who do want a quick withdrawal. Well, 25%. We don't quite have the popular vote yet, but this is America. We don't need the popular vote. New York. There's been chatter around the campaign of congressional endorsements in the works, despite your accomplishments being on that front so far. Now, Senator Merkley of Oregon has reached out to you saying he's willing, and others may be considering the same. What will you do? We're going to talk to Merkley. We're going to talk to many others. My fellow Vermont senator who endorsed just before the end of the primary. Many representatives. We need everyone who was on board in the primary to be with us now. A few more representatives are behind your candidacy, while Patrick Lee even says that he likes your candidacy to the press. Won't immediately move any needles in the media. At the very least, it will grant you increased coverage and legitimacy with the media. How we doing? Clinton could still win, but we're in second place, which is absolutely huge. In the aftermath of your rise in the polls, the media has happened upon an unfortunate story. A commentary on gender roles that you wrote in 1972, published in an alternative newspaper, has made the routes for its lead, where it paints the picture of a woman who fantasizes about being raped. Regardless of your intentions, Clinton and even Trump and Rubio are highlighting this, attacking you. How will you respond? I am deeply sorry for this piece. It was a dumb attempt at dark satire and alternative publication, and in no way reflects my record or views on women. It was intended to attack gender stereotypes of the 70s, but it looks as stupid today as it was then. Clearly apologizing, disavowing it was the best move here. There's not much value in trying to revive the essay's analytical merits. That hurt us a little bit. But there's still some time to come back to that. Let's visit New York. Well, your campaign has notched decent numbers with more mainstream progressives while staying on the Green ballot's lines. However, several members of the Green National Committee and former candidates for the Green nomination, including Senator Moyawafsika Curry and William Kreml, have expressed disappointment in the decision to back your campaign. They believe you're getting far more back than you've put in, and your selection of Green's candidate was a coup of sorts. How will you respond? I will remind them that I am the best shot at getting 5% of the popular vote and granting the Green Party federal funding. This is a simple numbers game. With that alone, we'll help in them. This is a fair argument for most of Green Party elites, but the other candidates for Green nomination have started openly accusing you of doing what you accused Hillary of, being coordinated by party elites. A video surfaced of Trump describing how he tried to seduce a married woman and how he can generally kiss women or grab them by the pussy. 14 women have also stepped forward to accuse him of assault. What is your response? The idea that we might have a president of the United States on tape basically bragging about sexually assaulting women is deeply disgusting. He should drop out. This is the sort of thing that ends careers, campaigns, lives. Be prepared for Trump's polling to take a nosedive. Oh, look at that. We are 1 point behind in South Dakota. We are winning in Oklahoma. This is immensely funny to me. We're almost in Cali. Basically tied in Nevada. Yeah. We'll visit Texas next. This led into a chaotic campaign. There are many unexpectedly close states across the United States between unexpected opponents. What particular up for grabs areas do you want to target? New York could use some cracking. I don't think we're getting New Jersey, but we're pretty much right there in the Rust Belt. These states might not be able to, but Pennsylvania we could use some effort in. Yeah. What we should be focusing on is my native Northeast. Areas like Pennsylvania, New York, and New Jersey, while conducting general operations across New England. This is a surprising area to target. After all, you only managed Pennsylvania a few months ago. Your rallies in Brooklyn and Philadelphia, however, are widely attained, and you're even managing some support in upstate New York and central PA. A leaked transcript from WikiLeaks shows Clinton saying in a closed-door speech at Goldman Sachs that she is center-left, center-right, and that she supports open trade and open borders. What do you think about this? It is deeply unserious for Hillary Clinton's supporters in the media to continually assert that she is the most progressive candidate in American history, while she claims the opposite in private. While some wish you targeted the open borders line further, this might be a better bet for picking off vulnerable progressives from Hillary. Oh, it's beautiful. We have the lead now. We got California. We're inching closer in New York. Let's visit Texas. New WikiLeaks transcripts have led to further discussion on collaboration between the DNC and the Clinton campaign, preventing yourself from winning the nomination. Will you respond? From time to time, we're going to mention what happened in the primary. And yes, we're going to talk about the manipulation of democracy that happened there. But only to support why I'm the right choice, not just for the sake of it. So this is a decent job of not belaboring the point, while still having something to get your base fired up. But it still unites many who voted Clinton in the primary against you. Shit. Well, we just need something, Hillary's campaign to fuck up somehow to get extra support. Oh, look. Hillary Clinton fucked up. Campaign fucked up. Well, not Clinton directly, but James Comey, FBI director, has made a late announcement that additional emails have surfaced in Hillary Clinton's case, thanks to an investigation into Anthony Weiner. What are your thoughts on this? Well, I'd very much prefer to discuss the issues that are actually affecting the American people, rather than gossip and attacks. I think that's what Americans are more concerned about. Polls have quit swinging against Hillary in the aftermath. This looks as if it could totally alter the results of this election. Shit. This is going to be close. New York. Oh god, we could win. We're so close in both. God. Where will we spend the final day of our campaign? Gonna throw a massive rally in the heart of Brooklyn with thousands of our supporters. Our numbers here have shown that we can really make a splash here. The rally is well attended indeed, with cheering loud enough to be heard from Hillary's campaign headquarters. It's something noted by most media. Even if you don't win New York, it's certainly a show of support. Head back to Vermont and be ready to watch the results tonight. This is gonna be close. Yeah, this is gonna be rough. Well, we got 3 off the bat. That's a nice start. If only we could stay with that amount of the popular vote. Kentucky goes for Trump. We got Rhode Island, not Vermont. How close is D.C.? Kind of close. We got Indiana. That's interesting to see. Virginia, South Carolina. Connecticut we didn't get, but I wasn't planning on that. Ohio we got. That's pretty huge. Minnesota. We're getting a lot of the Rust Belt. We're getting all of the Rust Belt. Holy shit. Not West Virginia. Only point away. We got Oklahoma, though, which is immensely funny to me. We got Iowa. We got Montana. We're getting the West Coast states. Second place in Texas. Not getting that, though. We got Nevada, Hawaii. We're going to get Alaska, I'm fairly certain. Holy shit, we got it. We got California, we got New York. The question is these states. I think we'll get South Dakota. From there, I'm not sure. Yep. There we go. 285 to 109 to 73 to 71. With 27.6% of the popular vote. Which is we won the popular vote. We didn't get a majority, but this is an American election. The majority doesn't matter. Ah, look at that. One could forgive practically every voter in a country, yourself included, for being shocked. 2 years ago, pollsters hardly included you in the race. When you declared your candidacy, most articles made sure to highlight that you were a long shot. Why wouldn't they? You were going up against Hillary Clinton. And yet you said it best in a quote, added as an addendum to most of those articles at the bottom of the page. I think people should be a little bit careful underestimating me. Now you've managed, despite it all, despite the primaries, despite running as a third-party candidate in a country where one hasn't won a state since the 60s, to outright win more than 270 votes in the Electoral College. It's a damn close thing, but that isn't to minimize this. It is historic. No, believe it, one cannot. Your opponents hardly offer concession the day of, likely unable to believe their eyes. They're joined by your wife Jane, by your supporters, awestruck to what can only be described as a political revolution. The Republican Party has declared its response to your victory. The newly debuted Fox host, Tucker Carlson, declares that an undemocratic revolution has taken hold of the United States. The Bolsheviks have just stormed the Winter Palace, he declares, and we cannot stand by. The Democratic Party, meanwhile, has reacted with pure confusion. Some certainly want to work with you. After all, the most left-wing president of the United States has just won. What else is there to do? Others, chiefly Hillary, have behind the scenes pushed something else from what you've heard. She's joined by other influential voices. If you would like, you certainly have an opening to stage a takeover of the Democratic Party, perhaps starting next year with the DNC chairmanship. But be warned, this is a party that has been incredibly hostile to you, and many of those likely to support you have been pushed out. Several leftists have managed to join Congress, a few even winning outside of the two parties, such as Gail McLaughlin of the Greens. It is only a handful, though not enough to exert control. Although, shockingly, Democrats have managed to take both houses of Congress, likely thanks to Trump-backed third parties. It may not be enough to pass Medicare for all, but that's for you to negotiate. Regardless, you'll be America's first socialist president come January. You'll have at least 4 years, and re-election might be in the cards, but who knows in what form. There will likely be an attempt to change the electoral system of this country after what happened this year, but you will likely have a role in that as well. The world watches as you start packing for Washington. And if you listen, you can hear a whisper. Check out the electoral map one more time. Look at that. I'm going to guess South Dakota seemed very close. Yeah. I'm going to guess Texas was pretty close as well. Let's check out closest states. North Carolina was actually the closest. Interesting, but we didn't have a shot there. Kansas as well. We're actually doing surprisingly well in Kansas. North Dakota. Only about 4,000 votes between me and top. We're still third place. South Dakota, we won by like 300 votes. Holy shit. Wow. Much. Also, incredibly close to North Carolina. That's interesting. 150 in Kansas. Wow. Georgia, Nebraska, New York. How close was New York? Relatively close. Texas. Actually wasn't that close at all. I'm guessing if I'm doing a strategy based off a paste bin that I found on the Reddit, which, if I remember, I will include in the box below. Like, the guy even said, like, this strategy could be better improved on. Because, like, there are a couple states that I could win. North Dakota, I could flip. Texas is flippable in theory. West Virginia. And if I really want to play fast and loose with RNG, I could try for New Jersey. But that's going to depend on a lot of stuff. But it is winnable on normal difficulty. For all details, fun fact: us winning the majority is apparently canon, which is funny to me. Not outright, but there we go. No further reading. Well, I'm gonna start to leave things there. Though I do want to say that if you want to see me do another run of this mod. There are 3 different candidates. So one, I'm going to ask for, let's say 10 likes. I'll be conservative this time around. 5 likes. And then I'll ask you guys to leave comments on what you guys would prefer to see. Which candidate would prefer to see. Rubio, Trump, or Clinton. And whichever gets the most upvotes / the most comments, I'll go ahead and play next time around. When that will be exactly, I'm not sure. I have a couple I need to go back and try out anyway. Some more like goals that I need to follow up on, rather. But you guys have that option. But until then, thanks so much for watching, my friends. If you like this video, like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of this content in the future, or just other stuff that I do. I mainly do strategy game videos like Hearts of Iron, but if you want to see new campaign trail stuff, I do that Saturdays typically. And I have uploads going up the rest of the weekdays as well. Leave it in comments, feedback down in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get, and I appreciate any feedback you might have for me. Check out my various links down in the description box below, including the Twitch, which I usually film these live on. I haven't for this video, but I've filmed them on the Twitch before. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. That's going to be it for now, my friends. My name has been Mr. Dogbot333. I thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye now.